I was waiting to get on that Teams call.
That's a new address, so I have to. Yeah, it's
Hey, do you need a check for snacks? I mean, we can bring you one.
I'm good. I'll grab my bed.
Making sure it's all right.
Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you.
Thank everybody for showing up. This is
Whoops. I did it.
the first of the budget meeting, August 28th, fire. And just for the department heads, the direction that I want to go on this is when you go through your budgets, we're going to go line by line. I want you to read the location description. You do not have to read the whole thing and request the budget. That's what I'm after. When you do that, if that fund change from 2025 budget to 2026, explanation. It'll just save us time, maybe. And that's what I want to do with that. Now, for council, we can suggest cuts tonight, the board can go either way. We can suggest cuts tonight, we can go in and modify these. If we seem like we're in agreement or somebody feels strong enough, we can actually, I'll accept the motion on these, we can actually motion these and vote on these tonight instead of the budget review. So that's a council discretion. So you can go either way. We can suggest cuts, if somebody wants to make a motion, then I will accept. And that is, any questions? Janie is not here yet, but Janie is coming. She's stuck in traffic between Olytic and Avoca. Must have been a wreck. So she is coming, so we will have the 7th one here. So, if there's no questions on any of that, you guys got anything you want to add to this budget cycle?
Not this time.
No. Well, I guess I get lucky enough to go first. So what I'm going to do is, I'm going to read this. This is on non-binding reviews. And then we'll move on after this. And this is the non-binding review. The county council, as the fiscal body, is required by Indiana Code 6-1-17-3-6 to review the estimated property tax limits and the estimated reductions to the budget due to certain regular amounts for each taxing unit. If the council's recommendation that the budget remain at or below the state average of growth of 4%, and to consider maximum levy projections and review loss from property tax caps. Council input is offered in advisory capacity, and such recommendations and comments are non-binding. And that's what I have on that one. So that will end Rick's. So then we go to Scott Macker.
Hello, everyone. I'll present the budget for data processing for '26. First line, we have 21800 for computer supplies, covers hardware maintenance, any type of networking hardware we might need for data processing, and that line stays the same at 9,000. Next line is 35301, software renewals, covers our firewall, antivirus, intrusion prevention, and that line also stays the same at 10,000. And line 39300, software support, that covers all the service and maintenance for all the county offices. And that line stays the same at 170.
I think there was one question on that we,
Should that really, I don't know that that's software support, maybe that should be called data processing contract fee.
I think it used to be, I'm not sure where the software.
Because when I go through this
support-
budget, there are 8 different departments with 9 line items that says software support.
Yeah, I think in the past it was IT contract is what it was labeled as.
Maybe we could,
I can change the line number. Your history will be in this line until it changes, but I can make the line number like 39601, which is contract services, if that's what the council wants.
Well, how does that differ, like when you jump to page 42, you've also got software support of 75,000. The commission does.
Yeah, actually, that covers.
now, is it possible for you as head of the IT department to go through these various items in these departments and say software support, kind of analyze those for us? We have no idea what they are.
Sure.
And whether they're duplications, overlaps, or anything.
Again, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think that would be helpful.
I'm not familiar with what gets labeled on the budget and how it gets labeled either.
Yeah, I mean, it's just so generic, yeah, we have no idea.
Multiplies
Yeah, I know there's several software support line items. And I know some of that covers like the MVP support the auditor's office uses. I just know that I dealt with them. But any other departments, I'm not sure what that would cover, but I don't know.
Yeah, I think it would just be helpful for us.
What would the commission find be for another?
That's for my financial software and some other financial software. I can get a breakdown of that and let them know.
Now, it just seemed like an odd place for them to have.
Well, it used to be under auditor treasurer because we split the cost, and then I believe it was last year it was decided to move it into the commissioners on the 2025 budget.
so you're gonna look into changing that? I mean, you're
Yes.
looking-
More clarification.
Yeah, more clarification on this, and you'll look into the rest of these where they keep showing up, because you found several.
Yeah, there's like 9 different software support line
Yeah,
items.
and now I think about it, I think it actually used to say service agreement. Is what it was labeled as.
I can go back and research and see what it was before. And it may have been that we did the conversion to the Lao financial system, that this is their crosswalk number from Harris to Lao, is what they changed it to. But we can change the name.
Okay, I just, you know,
No, I understand that.
went through there, I thought, wow.
That mistakes. Is there any other questions, comments, or from the rest of the council? On this one?
I guess I will bring up something, on this sheet I have, there's a line 43101 part of it.
Yes,
It says 2,275. I'm not sure what that is. I've never seen that line on there.
The new equipment,
Yeah,
we'll review and
I don't think I put that on our budget, so I'm not sure where that's from.
if it is an error in entry, we will remove it.
So it needs to be deleted?
26. Looks like assistant expenditure for 25, but I'm still not sure what that.
We'll review what that expenditure was, and if it was put in the wrong location, we need to correct that.
Because he doesn't know where it comes from, and, you know, like,
Yeah, this line, I've never seen that line before. Budgets.
And it may be just an error in the location code when someone entered the claim. So we'll find out where it derives from and let you know when we make the correction.
Any further questions? Thank you. Then we got, veteran service. Brad Duke.
Mr. President, council members, thank you. I'll start off with the veteran's salary. The proposed salary is $22,500, and that is down from $34,653 for the 2025 budget. Yes, I'm taking a pay cut. But what I would ask the council to do in exchange for that is give my part-time people a raise to $125 a day. And we come down to part-time. With the part-time budget for 2025 being $27,040, raising that up to $32,500 for my two part-time employees. Even with that, the total budget savings is going to be $6,692 under what I would be asking, or what I asked for in 2025. The part-time stipend and a full-time stipend are $500 each, which you see on the line was nothing requested in 2025. Office supplies, we're requesting $1,700, and we had budgeted for $1,200 in 2025. Postage will be the same, no change, $100. Veteran Service Officer travel was $1,000 in 2025. We're requesting up to $1,500 this year. That's due largely in part to the cost of hotel and motel that is increasing when we have to travel to Indianapolis for our certification. Patriotic Observances, it was $500 requested in 2025. We're requesting $500 again this year. Training and education, the 2025 budget was $800. We're asking $1,300 in 2025. The office equipment, $500 in 2025 and $500 in 2026. Any questions?
Yes. If that, he decreases his salary, that is, we'd have to go back and change salary limits on that.
No, he's not decreasing, we're just having a replacement of someone at a lower pay grade.
Yeah, but if he's decreasing his salary from $34,653 to $22,500,
So that would be put in the 2026 salary ordinance. He's not changing it for 2025, so that will
yeah,
stay
that's
in.
what I'm saying, but it would have to be
But
changed in
yes, in
2026
the
along
2026
with.
salary ordinance, it would have to be changed if you approve this all change. Yes.
And if he's bumping up the part-time, you got two, correct?
Two, correct.
Two, if he's bumping that from 27,040 to 32,500,
Bumping them up from $104 a day to $125 a day. I'm doing what other department heads have done in the past, sacrifice part of my
that's the only
salary.
question there, Dave. I mean, I think that would be okay for the budget, but I think that's a council issue. 26, because if you got two, you're changing salaries on two part-times, am I right or wrong?
As long as it's listed and set out in the salary ordinance, that this is what they are getting due to the reduction in his salary, but not until 2026.
And stipend, you clarified that for me, you got two part-time.
Correct.
And then the office supply supplies going from 12 to 1,700.
Cost of things are going up, even the ink is going to the roof now.
Because you spent $598 as of 6 months this year.
And I'll be ordering some more ink. Ink, it's like liquid gold.
Travel, I kind of agree with, you went from 1,000 to 1,500 on that one, but you've only spent 280 on that one, correct?
280 on the travel.
Yeah.
And we've got 2 more travel dates. If any of you all want to travel with us when we go down to Montgomery for our training at the gas off, we'd be happy to, other county service officers have had their council members and commissioners. Matter of fact, Commissioner Graham did come to one of our training sessions.
Who did?
2 of them? Okay. So any of you that want to come,
You get
you're welcome.
one in Florida, and I gotta take her over.
Well, he's a pilot, he does
That's what I was
it.
Yeah.
And that budget is decreased.
Okay, so beginning of 26, we make these changes.
This would be for 2026, yes.
That's my question, council.
I have the same questions.
You have the same question. Amy, get that look.
I appreciate what Brad's trying to do, but I want to think on that a little bit because what happens when Brad is not our veteran service officer?
Well, I'll tell you, the fact is, that's a good question. When I started out as veteran service officer in 2013, I was only making $16,875. So you get a new service officer, let them prove themselves, because like the direct compensation for veterans in 2013, my first year, the direct compensation, that means money in the bank, money in their pocket, was $10,242,000. Now, the last GDX from 2023, in September, we're gonna get the 2024 GDX, but in 2023, the last GDX numbers we had was $22,748,000. And there again, we more than doubled that in my time in office. So you start out, my guys had to start out, and I had to come back and prove myself. Julie, when she was president of the council, gave me a substantial raise after we started noticing that the gross domestic expenditure going up like it should. Every year it should go up if we're really pushing it.
Well, you can't quit, Brad.
No.
Or retire.
Well, I'm going to retire, I'm going to draw my social security, so that's going to enable me to drop my salary down. And then it'd be up to you folks on the council to determine what the new pay would be for the next service officer coming in. I'll also drop my insurance to help the county out. Well, we're having to pitch pennies to put an officer in the high school. You need to think about that, save more money to help fund that. We've got to have an officer at the high school. I'm trying to help out a little bit here.
Any further questions? Amy? Amy? Julie, Scott, no questions? Okay, thank you.
Okay, next trip to Montgomery, September 23rd.
Oh, Florida. Was there a gun from Florida?
Probably is. All right, thank you very much for the
Okay. County reporter. Scott, has something to say. Hello, how's Jessica?
I'm good, how are you?
Good.
Okay, the only thing I've changed on mine is, my deputies will be paid out of RTF again. That'll be $75,840. On my office supplies, I cut 1,000, so brings it down to 2. And my postage I cut in half from 900 to 450. Plus the staff that's on there, but that's all I've changed on mine from last year.
For your office, that's a lot, thank you.
That got changed, right? Yeah, that got changed.
It got changed today, yeah. I had wrote it down, I guess, wrong, so yes.
Good.
Yeah.
Which one are wrong?
Overall.
Sure, good. Jessica, on your full-time, what, you have 3?
There's 3 of us, yes.
3.
Mhm.
Good.
Good.
Good. Thank you.
Thank you, Jessica.
Thank you. Corey, county surveyor.
So the only change from 2025 is, we're gonna need the, 12,011 stipend was added in at 1,500. You want me to read the amounts line by line, or?
No. What I would like to have, yours is a little bit different, is when you do this description of where this is at,
Mhm.
it's gonna get more confusing down the line, not necessarily on you, but I wanna go line by line.
Okay.
And then, like I say, first of all, none of yours, except, got a couple ones that changed in there. If they went up from the 2025 budget to the 2026 budget,
Yeah.
explanation, just need an explanation.
So, 11,100, that's elected official, 37,246, no change. 11,300, first deputy, 46,519, no change.
Well, that's not what I have. Do you have that one up
46,519.
there? Okay.
11,300,
Should be the 4th.
The real 4? I haven't read it. I'm sorry.
11,308, overtime, 0, no change. 11,402, second deputy, 37,183, no change. 12,011, stipend, 1,500, that's a new item. 21,000 is $400, no change, that's office supplies. 21,200, flatfoot supplies, that's $325, no change. 24,600, other supplies, it's $445, no change. 31,200, postage, it's $10, no change. 35,202, repair of equipment, $130, no change. 38,300, association member fees, that's for Indiana Association fee, we have $100, no change. And 39,601, contracted services, that is for maintenance of our plotter and scanner. It's the only contract we have with that. $1,200, no change. And that would be all under the general budget.
I put stars out here because you did such nice job.
Kind of hate to slow him down because this is so simple.
I know, maybe you made an example.
But we need to credit the years.
I do have a question,
Sure.
and this isn't just for you, this is in general. So last year when the council went and adopted a new budget, they done away with overtime line, so there was no overtime to be paid out. It was to be paid out in PTO time, correct? Or comp time, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
So, how do we have any books or accountability on, say in your instance, you didn't request any overtime? Do you give comp time in your office? Is there,
We don't, we work within, our goal is to work within our hours. If there's basically my thought is there is something that's coming up that's going to be a unique scenario, and I would come to the council and say, something has changed in the process.
so what my concern is like, do we have offices that had requested no overtime that is using comp time instead? That when there was nothing budgeted for that, and at the same time, if you did request overtime of, say, $30,000, have you let your comp time exceed that amount without coming back to address the council? Because to me, we have no, right now, there's no accountability to know what the county's liabilities are to employees in comp time. We don't know what offices are using it, what offices are not.
But Corey's not even
No,
talking about that.
no, but it's one of his lines. I said this is not directly to him. I'm using it for an example because he has an overtime line.
Well, I'll just say, in our office, for example, it would be such an anomaly, but I know other offices, they know.
So no, this is
your
not,
time, so,
this
yeah.
is just the address of like,
Oh, Corey.
when that line, and I'm no way to pick on you. I think we was talking about addressing this at the beginning of the budget cycle and it got started without it. But I mean, does anyone follow what I'm saying there? We don't have a good accountability of what the county is out right now towards employees.
Well, maybe you're asking the wrong one.
Yeah, if we have somebody that actually does it, that might.
Is that being tracked or not tracked or how?
If it's being tracked, it's by individual office. I track whether or not my employees have comp time. That is for each elected official to keep track of.
But none of it comes back together.
It does not come back to us.
No.
And so that may be a question that you ask each elected official when they come in, if they have.
And is there,
I'll track mine.
but is there departments giving out comp time that didn't even ask for overtime in their budget?
I don't know that because we technically do not pay overtime.
Like I said, I'm just looking at it as where are we?
Why did we ask for overtime? Because we were told that we couldn't have overtime. And if we've got to have, I mean, you cut me out of person, we have to work overtime. We don't have any choice.
But how much
You want the job done?
how much overtime was granted in your budget?
No. I don't think.
So really what I'm getting at is cutting overtime really didn't do anything. It just created a liability in comp time.
We've always worked over in these counties. We've had to.
Right. But the county has no idea what their liability is in comp time.
Okay,
That's why I'm getting
we're getting sidetracked. I know where you're going. That question was for Martha, to be brought back up. 'Cause I know this has been an issue. Jeff and I's even talked about this. There's no way to track it of how much is built up at this point.
I have no way of tracking it. It's not,
way to.
it's
I know
not
where you're
turned,
going. I know where you're going, but
it is not turned into my office. That,
is that commissioner issue? Is that a policy issue that the commissioners need to?
No, I think when you award, when you
That's what I'm saying.
substitute one thing for another, you have to have some way to have checks and
Well,
balances.
that's what I'm saying, that is,
We don't have it.
as far as the way to track it, is that a policy issue, is that? I know what you're asking for, is for the office, if we send a sheet for each department, you know, ex-employee got, what is it? Okay, we're gonna back up once we put this up. Any more, you read this for example, got any more?
Yeah, I'm just, it come back to my mind.
Jeff, you're good with that. Can we use Corey for example? Any questions for Corey?
No.
One other budget also.
yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, on this paper.
Nothing on this page.
Any more questions on this? Okay, Corey, go to the next page.
Okay, so this will be a budget for the Cornerstone Fund. Again, this is not part of the general fund. This is a fee-based with the recording of mortgages and deeds, easements, other real estate documents.
May I proceed, Mr. President? So even if there are no changes on a budget, you still want to go line by line?
Yes. Yes. Line by line, please.
Okay. So, 11901, extra help. This is when I bring in a contracted person, help with scanning or something. $3,000, no change. 21,000. office supplies, $420, no change. 24,600 other supplies, these are nails, posts, things for perpetuation, $2,000, no change. 31,304 mileage, $500, no change. 35,202 repair of equipment, $500, no change. 35,800 software, computer equipment, and computer support, $800, no change. 39,601 contracted services. This contracted services would be for, I have MiFi hotspots for perpetuation work, and that covers that. It's $1,000. 39,704 cornerstone bounties. If a surveyor brings in a record of a corner they perpetuated, I can pay them a one-time fee instead of having a contract. That's $5,000, no change. 39,800 cornerstone contracts, large contracts with surveyors for perpetuation. $39,000, no change. 43,101 new equipment, $3,000, no change. That was my last item.
Those comments stay.
Yeah.
I don't think you're gonna make good examples.
I do have that cornerstone contracts is up about $9,000 last year and this year because we have a lot of construction going on. I anticipate probably pulling that back down just because 30,000 is about what I bring in. So try to keep where we're not in a negative.
Corey, I've done a really good job, and Danny, to answer your question on that, you helped me understand what some of this means.
Yeah, some of the names are a little, I know just like it's a contract, well, what's that mean?
I don't know about anybody else, but I'll admit it, you helped me understand some of this, and I appreciate it. And yours stayed exactly the same. Okay. Anybody got any questions? Yes. Thank you very much.
Thanks for your time.
Okay. I didn't skip you this time.
No, you didn't.
I just do that in council meetings.
It's tough going after Corey. But I'll give it my best shot. I'm Rebecca. I'm the interim county extension director while Leslie Gladnell is out on maternity leave. So I will be stepping through our requested 2026 budget with the goal of being an example. So first item is the office manager from account 11403.
Hold that thought, because you're about to the overtime. Again, which is
No,
zero.
No, can I get a restart? I still want my example. I thought that's blank across the board, so I thought that was not, yeah, so account 11308, overtime, we are not requesting anything in that, which is part of the compensation discussion, or because of the compensation changes. Account number 11403, office manager, we're requesting $41,551. That's no change from the 2025 adopted budget. From account 11407, clerical full-time, we are requesting $37,183. Again, no changes from the 2025 adopted budget. Account number 11803, extension educators, we are requesting $136,670. That is a change from the 2025 adopted budget. In in 2025 we got $132,680. So there's a slight increase in that one.
that due to scale? Is that due to?
So this is the contractual services agreement that county enters with Purdue University. And so the contractual services, essentially, you are providing money to help fund like 40% of the educators that work in Lawrence County Extension, and then Purdue is filling in the other, 60%. So the way, I'm not privy to any of those conversations, but the way that Purdue calculates that is based on county size classification. So local services is allocated based on county size classification as determined by the State Board of Accounts. So Purdue looks at demographics and population, and they figure out their numbers from that. Which, by the way, that map I don't believe has changed for over like 2 decades. So not necessarily considering migration that goes in and out of counties. So
Well, the reason I'm asking that, it's gonna show up later, which is, we go through this book, you're gonna see some of these wages go up small amounts. And I think that is due to, it's the increments.
So it does not include the extension educators that are under this contract. They have nothing to do with
Yeah,
our.
but I mean, that was my question earlier, because you're.
So on other departments, if they have an increment that they are due in 2025, they will get that increment. You eliminated increments in 2026.
So
So that's why you may see a slight shift in salaries, is because of the increment that they have from July to December. But the extension educators take no part in that increment. That is just purely off of Purdue's numbers. We have nothing to do with calculating that figure.
I'm sorry, because I used you for
That's okay.
example too.
How many educators are there?
we have 2 full-time at the moment, and then we have a a temporary program assistant in our A&R educator position. And she is with us through the end of December or whenever she reaches 1,000 hours, whichever comes first. So
2 educators.
2 full-time educators, yeah. And then we had the position filled from August of 2024 to March of 2025, and then the educator ended up going back to Ohio based on some family emergency.
So we did have 3.
We did have 3 for, what's that, 7 months? 7 months, yeah, and then we immediately brought in Cassie Shelton, who's here with us. And she's been instrumental in making sure that 3rd grade Ag Day is, able to go forward, because normally that would be something they and our educator would lead. So Cassie stepped in and helped us maintain momentum on that and make sure that we're able to
So this
support
figure
that.
of 136,670 is the contractual obligation. It does not equate back to educators. You said 40%.
No, it's not like purely going to our salaries. So I guess the contract is more or less an agreement that you all will pay 40% of what it would cost to employ 3 educators at Lawrence County Extension.
And that's what's included in this amount,
Yeah, it's a minimal increase from last year, yeah.
the educators.
And 2, the office manager and clerical, both full-time.
Yes, but they're county, so they are not part of the contractual services agreement. Any more questions on that?
Let's move on to 1193.
Okay, so that's a part-time, and again, we have no money requested for that, and that's no change from 2025. And then from account 21000, office supplies, we're asking for $5,000, no change from 2025, and that again is like for ink and paper and sundries that you need to keep the office going. Account 12011, stipend full-time, $1,000. I think that's from the budget instructions, because we have 2 full-time employees, so 500 apiece. Account 31200 is postage, asking for $1,000, no change from 2025. Account 31300 is travel, we are requesting $4,000, again, no change from the 2025 adopted budget. Account 35202, which is equipment repair, we are asking $1,150, which is no change from 2025. And then finally, account 37300, equipment lease, we are asking $4,480, and that is no change from 2025.
Can you explain that contract, what that's for? What kind of equipment?
It is for our laptops. Yeah, so laptops and,
Yes,
The equipment lease.
yeah, it's for laptops.
laptops.
Yeah, monitors, like the kind of other hardware.
I think it also includes like your little hotspots that you.
Oh, yeah, we've
have.
got little hotspots that we need at county fair, because we don't have resources out there,
Okay,
so.
that helps, doesn't it?
It does help.
That explains.
Yeah. We don't have very many, but that's exactly what that meant. So anyway, our total request is $232,034, and so slight bump from, it's about $5,000 from last year.
Any questions? Bill?
I guess we can revisit this later.
Yes, I do have one question. Do you use comp time in your office?
So, we do use it when we have to, but we are very diligent about tracking, and we only have 2 employees. So
Right.
thankfully, it's manageable. How to do it, I wouldn't want to do it this way, but we have a Excel spreadsheet, and so we request or ask that they use PTO, like they flush through their PTO, and do you guys get sick time in county? So it's all just PTO. And then we encourage them to use comp time only as a last ditch effort. So, I
But
think
there is some.
there is some, yeah, and you're welcome to look at our spreadsheets. But,
And then I was kind of, but we already answered that question. On the equipment lease, the 4480, but you've only used 880 so far this year. But you did exceed that in '24, so I don't know.
I don't see that, I'm sorry,
You don't see
I don't see any of that, so I guess I can't.
37300, the bottom.
So sometimes those bills are a little late to come from Purdue. We may get a big billing, you know, like at the 3rd quarter.
These are only figured through 6 months.
These are only figured through June 30th of '25. That is where the 2025 expended cuts off. It's the first half of the year.
So do we have any more questions for you?
No questions.
Julie?
So 3 that are educators, and then 2 that are full-time manager and clerical, correct?
Correct, yeah, that's right.
Good.
The interesting thing, you know, that money is used whether there's a person there to spend it or not. Because it doesn't specifically go to a person. It's like she said, it's part of the contract. Because remember when we thought we had money left in a fund to pay somebody that brought in, they said, oh no, they had spent that on bringing somebody in from another county. So So it's interesting and it's complicated. So you've been, actually, essentially, you've been working with two educators for some time. You had a brief period where you had
Yeah,
somebody come in.
well, yeah, since mid-March maybe.
Yeah,
so-
but I mean, then she was, how long was she here? Girl, the,
Well, I think she started in August.
I thought there was a big gap before you got that third person.
Well, before that, yes, there
Yes.
was, I think in 2024, I don't think there was
Nobody.
an educator in that position.
I have a question, since you brought that up. Are any of our, like Lawrence County monies, are those ever shared with or used in another county?
No, I mean, they say our programming is focused on occasion. Educators may collaborate on a regional basis, but if it's a program that's fee-based, Lawrence County gets those fees. Lawrence County Extension Office would get those fees. So, yeah, we don't go, I mean, our scope is Lawrence County, so.
But your basis on the extension educator, it doesn't matter if there was one educator here all year or three, the contract was signed for the $136,000 is spent. There's no credit back versus one versus three. That money's gone because that's a contractual agreement, right?
Yes.
See, I didn't know all that contract, which we're not privy to that, but if that obviously is not spelled out in that
Well,
contract,
you haven't seen the contract?
that's commissioners.
Okay.
See, that could be spelled, maybe spelled out in that.
It is. It's
Yes.
pretty much
Yeah, there's some details.
it's just that you're paying for a service of educators. You're not paying, I think years ago it might have been broke down per educator for cost, but I think in the last few years it's now grouped as one contractual agreement service.
Yeah, it says services in four program areas: ag and natural resources, health and human sciences, community development, and 4-H youth development. We don't have a community development educator, so the three that we're essentially talking about are health and human sciences, 4-H youth development, and ag and natural resources. And so these services include access to services from county educators, campus specialists at Purdue University, and other staff extensions. So that contractual services is accounting for, or includes a focus on the program areas plus additional access to specialists at Purdue. And we also, Lawrence County was lucky, the cuts to SNAP changed this a little bit, but we had a community wellness coordinator with us, which was not at all paid, or she was paid in a completely different stream of funding from the federal government to deliver nutrition education, but that program got cut altogether. So unfortunately, we don't have her with us, but that just means
Was that state or federal or?
it was federal/state. So, but it was not every county had a person like that, so we were extra enriched by what she and her colleagues are able to do in our schools. So, which hopefully just means we can do it. I mean, we'll try to pick up the slack, but,
Questions?
I have one more question. So with the $136,670 contract, so I guess you could have two educators and then they would just split that amount, is that correct?
I don't think it
Does it
I don't
specifically
think
say?
it works like that. I think,
When you have the specialists come in from Purdue, do they get paid?
No.
I thought maybe it came
Yeah,
out of that.
no, it's just like communication by email or phone call, or on occasion we'll ask them to come down, especially if it's something very specialized, like the species identification or something, or
But you don't pay them
Yeah.
for that.
No, we don't pay them for that. That is the service Purdue provides to this county as part of that, as part of the contractual services.
Because I think to answer your question, Martha, you can't see that, can you? If that's split between two or if that's three, you can't see that the way it's
It's,
contracted.
it's simply a contract and we send the entire amount and they send us an invoice.
Any other questions?
When does that contract come up, Martha?
It will come up at the end of the year to be renewed for next year.
That's where you're renewed for next year, though, isn't it?
Pardon me?
That's where you're renewed for next year.
Not for 2020.
No, not in 2026, it has not been.
I thought they already signed it.
They signed, in 2024, they signed 2025's contract.
It starts January 1st.
Yes.
Good? You guys good? No one has that wood.
Well, you did a pretty good job.
Now for the fun one.
Aviation, I'll be presenting that one. And I'm not gonna use the podium. Manager salary, that's me, $12,000. We have our own board. This department is not general fund sourced, it's on a levy. We have our own board, $25 a month, so it hasn't changed. Extra help is my contract help, mows grass, mows snow. We've got a lot of grass to mow this year. That's actually going down, we've rearranged some schedules to save some money there. Office supplies, everything has gone up, 6 months I've already spent this year's budget. It's hard to know what it is gonna be, and other things, gas and oil. Right now, gas is lower than it was last year, so that did not increase. Janitorial supplies, other costs. Concrete and asphalt, big jump because blacktop costs a lot of money. And the increase has been pretty bad in that respect. See, engineering services stays the same, legal fees stays the same, bookkeeping go ahead.
What is the engineering services?
We engage an engineering firm to help us in grant writing
Oh,
and FAA grants and things like that.
thank you.
Postage, same, telephone, up, they keep raising the bill. Insurance has increased, our liability insurance increased as the entire counties did. And all these items are separate from the county. This is kind of a standalone department. We have no benefits paid because all of our employees are contractors and receive no benefits. They are not normal employees. Utilities are going up. Our buildings and equipment are getting old and require more maintenance every year. I was over, for the 6 months, I was in excess of budget there, so I bumped that out to repairs. Got some buildings that need roofs. A couple of those buildings were World War II vintage. Let's see, runway lights stays the same. AWOS stands for Automated Weather Observation System. It's required by the FAA. It gives pilots local weather information from the airport that they're landing at. We just put a new AWOS in, and the service contract for that jumped way up. Equipment lease, I lease lawnmowers and snow equipment, and it's a lot of wear, so it's better to lease it, 3-year leases, and printing, $500, stays the same.
And then I got one question. This statement is, you have your own levy on this, correct?
Yes, sir. That's correct.
You have your own levy on this. And then the second question off is, if they're redoing that, you're getting new taxes, correct?
Yes. It's an FAA grant,
FAA grant,
and it's costing $3.5 million.
$1,000, you don't have to like that, or is that?
Yes, the lighting will come in next year's grant. And it's $700, the machine, I got the bid for that. We've not received the grant yet, but the lighting will be $775. I suggested we take driveway markers and stick them all on the side. That didn't fly with the FAA.
So I was just curious on that because you're expanding quite large.
Yeah, we've got, and that's somewhat worrisome because we're running a lot more snow than we wish. Because of this, we've got a lot more grass.
But with your own levy, it's kind of just a question on the runway.
Sure.
So none of your funding from general?
No, none of this budget is not general.
Janie? Bill? Yes, you don't want to be happy to look? You're good?
Take your shot, you got
Take
it.
your shot, you got it right now, on game.
Good job, Ray.
Okay, thank you.
And I gladly trade that job with anybody.
On camera? Okay, health department. How are you?
I'm good. Okay, so we are funded on our own. We have a levy, and we have our own fund, so none of this comes out of county general. There are some changes, and I will point those out. So line 11115, the health officer, is staying the same. Overtime, again, we were told to put overtime in a couple of years ago or a year ago, and then we were told to take it out because overtime wasn't being paid, so that's why there's nothing in there. I think I had put about 3,000, a little over 3,000 in overtime when we were talking about it, because we do have some environmentalists that go out on the weekends to inspect fairs and different things like that. So they work with comp time. And what we do in our office is we ask them to use that comp time within the next 2 pay periods, so it's off of our books. And the only thing that's left on our books is what their PTO is. That way we don't have any buildup of it. So, anyway, that's our comp time. Okay, so line 11318, health deputy, that is going up a little bit. Oh, no, it's going down because we hired a new employee and they came in at the base rate. And since there are no stipends, that will stay at that rate. So it's less about $1,664 from 2025. Okay, so line 11319, the clerical position, it has gone up a tiny bit, and that's because of increments no longer happening. So the increments don't start at their hire date. Their rate doesn't start at their hire date, it starts January 1. So the full amount on that rate is paid during that year, as opposed to cutting it down.
They earned it in this year, but it doesn't start until.
Well, they're earning it and they're making it this year, but I always calculated so many months prior to their increment time, their hire date, on one rate, and then changed it to the new rate with their increment. But without increments, everybody starts at January 1. It's forward. It stays there forever. Okay. Deputy 11500 deputy, that one went up a tiny bit, again, because of that increment change. Health nurse stayed the same. Sanitarian stayed the same because she actually hired in January, so she always was the same. Environmental assistant is part-time, so that stayed the same. Okay, so the second sanitarian, I kind of wanted to talk about line 11612. She is our second sanitarian. She does our food inspections. She's cross-trained to do septic and other things in our office too. And what I'm asking you to do is move her from
the second skill scale to the third skill scale, which is the same one our other environmentalist is on. And that's why there's a change in that amount.
And that's going from 2025, you had 47,574, and you want to go to 49,850, right?
Yes. Because I'm wanting to do a skill scale change on her, to move her up because her duties and her job is encompassing more than we could ever imagine. And
she's proven herself.
And she has definitely proven herself. She's been an asset. We have other counties calling to have her explain things to them. That's like, this is our person, no. But she's made a reputation for herself as being a really great employee. Okay, so stipend full-time, which is 12011, is $3,500. Those are full-time. 12012 stipend part-time is $250. Is your question? Yeah, okay. Sorry. 12102 Social Security, it has gone up a little bit. Retirement, 12200 has gone up as well a little bit. Group insurance, if you'll notice, it's gone down, and that's because we always overestimated our group insurance, and I've honed it a little more to the bone this time. But still taking into account, I believe, that there may be a raise coming in next August, because that always happens. So that's about 8,000 less. 18400 per diem. We just put 700 in per diem. Most of our per diem is paid out of grants, and grants don't pay per diem the same way the county allows, with $50 for lunch. The grants require us to turn in a receipt, and then whatever they spend on that receipt is what's paid. So we typically try not to touch this because we just find it a little excessive. I've never had a $50 lunch, or maybe I have, but I don't want to talk about it. Anyway, 21000 office supplies stay the same. 21400 clinic supplies stay the same. 22000 admin expense stay the same. And what the admin expense is are meals and other items. Clinic supplies also kind of falls in that same realm, but when we started charging an admin fee, which goes into our county budget, they created a line for us, and that's why there's two separate lines. We could really combine them as a simple one. Postage, 31200, $73, that stays the same. Travel, 31300, the same. Telephone, 31402, the same. 32600 shipping specimens, the same. 34000 utilities are the same. That's because we have HFI, which allows us to pay quite a bit of our utilities out of that Health First Indiana funding. 35202 equipment repair, $500. 37000, and that was the same. Training and conference, the same. 37002 training educational, the same. 39400 printing, $200. And 39601 contracted services, we stay the same. Contracted services in this case are basically going to use an attorney since we're not allowed to use the county attorneys.
I didn't catch what you said.
The contracted services are basically if we need to hire an attorney for our office since we're not allowed to use the county attorneys. Yeah.
Okay.
So our budget is actually overall lower this year than it was last year.
Most of yours is grant funded.
A lot of this is, grant funded from especially right now from the Health First Indiana. It's actually an appropriation, not a grant, but it's in the state budget. So once they sign it, it's good for 2 years because the state budget is good for 2 years. That's something I learned with this appropriation. A little bit more about my Indiana state government. And we know that we've got it through 26 and 27. So. tonight because there may be a change that'll change a little bit in our budget, but I'd respectfully not like to speak about it tonight, and will inform you
I
of
don't
it.
think, I give the council the option to do that.
Okay.
Or they haven't done that, so I don't know that we'll vote. If the door is open, if they want, but it doesn't matter, we're going to do a wheel and heart round. Like I say, you're pretty well grant funded, and you also operate under those too.
We do, and our health budget, so our health fund. Our health fund and the levy and our receipts fund our office.
Questions? Bill? Thank you. You did a great job. Okay, county treasurer. Penny.
Okay, so I'm treasurer budget. Of course, the account,
Do me a favor and pull that mic down so that we can. Mr. Bill.
Thank you.
Jane.
Hey, Rick.
Does that matter?
Thank you.
So 11,100 elected officials, same salary. 11,300 deputies. You'll notice it's like $188 difference. That is an increment where the person got an increment in April. So the budget for last year included some pays without and some with. So now she's just figured at that salary for all of next year. The 11,901 extra help. I did put an increase in that. I found it odd, and I thought that last year's, but I didn't do that budget, was possibly supposed to be 10.5. It's weird, it's $10,005 on the end. But also, I already used 60% or more just for the spring collection. And my issue also may be if we have 4 part-time people, I know for sure one, I think I can count on her always coming back, that knows what she's doing. One has some health issues in the spring, and I'm worried that her and the other one might not be coming back. So I may need a day or two before you've got 20 people in line and in their face to train somebody new and teach them how to take the payments and run the computer and process. So that's why I did raise that. The stipend, of course, the one
Can you
to,
add,
yes, go ahead.
I've had you explain this before, I'd like you to explain it again.
Uh-huh.
On payments,
Uh-huh.
can people pay their bills with a personal check?
They can as long as it's not a tax sale property. Once it goes into eligible for tax sale, it cannot be personal check.
Do they have to have, if they're late, do they have to have a certified check?
Only if it's in the tax sale. They have to have a cashier's check if it's a tax sale property. Otherwise, yeah, we take personal
And you
checks,
can't-
cash, or money order.
Okay, tell me why you can't take credit cards.
Well, they're paid, we don't have the software in our office for it.
That's what blows my mind with all
Well,
this new
Jody had
software.
something a year or two ago for,
What?
actually, Jody had something lined up with some kind of
Well, she
machine that
wanted
put outside
something
or
outside,
something.
yeah,
Kiosk.
Yeah, kiosk.
right.
But as far as in our office, I think they tried it one time years ago. And I guess
It's
it
just we're in the
didn't do it.
21st century, everybody's using credit cards and
And they have the online system they can use
you can
credit
do
cards.
it.
Yes, you can do e-checks and credit cards on the online system. Either you go on a computer or there's an 800 number you can call for an automated one if they don't have a computer.
But there is a user fee.
There is a user fee. I mean, we don't, that's what the company gets because we don't pay that company anything.
So you can't take a debit either.
No. No debit or credit. And right now, before the tax sale, we shut that system down about a month before because we do have return payments on eGov also, which is the online side. So before the tax sale, we have to make sure there's been enough time to clear that everything's washed through because it may be a couple weeks later, they suck money out of our account and say, whoops, back check, return check, you know.
Your
And they
debit
go,
is
okay, you
immediate.
can't.
Your debit's immediate.
Well, I don't know how it works on the eGov side. I mean, that's
So
where they're
there's
taking
plenty
the
of,
cards.
there's plenty of ways for
To
a person to pay their taxes. They
Yes.
just may not, maybe we don't do a good job of letting them know.
It's usually in the press
Can you
release
look into
every
that
year.
and see? Because I know where Janie's going, and if it wasn't my debit card,
I don't have a debit card, so I'm not going there.
I mean, it's one of them.
I have a credit
Can
card.
you look into that and see? I've been asked about that several times too.
Look into exactly what.
Where to debit instead of credit. Where they pay by debit.
Well, I mean, they can pay with the debit or credit online through the ego system, but we don't pay either in the
That's what I'm
office.
saying. Is there a way to do it here?
Purchasing software probably and
That's what I'm saying.
everything. I mean, I don't know
You
what
have
all
to pay the
entails.
fee, and you and I talked about this today. If there's a 3 or 7% fee, it's just passed on at that time anyway. Because the one I was using, Scott, was just a little bit better on the ATM machine. And you can get the money, you know, you can get the money, but you're also charged a fee right there. So that transaction actually pays that fee, not the county.
We're possibly looking in, I'm possibly looking into another company besides ego for handling our online payment. And that may be something else they do. I don't know. I haven't sat down and
Be interesting
I
to
just
find
wasn't
out.
changing it this year.
So you can look into that, let me know.
Oh, well. So the next line, the stipends. Now, I don't have my part-time is seasonal part-time. So I was under the understanding they are not eligible for the part-time stipend, so I don't have that included in. Office supplies is 2,500, which is the same as last year.
No,
Part-time,
seasonal.
Did we make a difference between seasonal and?
no,
Yep,
no.
I thought we did. I thought part-time has a strict definition of what it is.
You really?
Her part-time workers qualify for the stipend, if that's what you're asking.
That's what
On
they're.
base of what?
Because her part-time, you had, the requirement for the part-time was you had to work at least 24 hours a week.
So that's in our book, we have some.
Right. Her part-time only worked during the season, April through May and October through November. Is the only time, they don't
I was
qualify.
not sure there's something covered like in the five or something, just not.
Right. They're not really considered part-time, they are extra help.
Okay, so the office supplies stayed the same, 21,000, office supplies line. You can see I've already spent 2,119, I know I'm gonna have to have more paper and all kinds of stuff, but see, they cut it 1,500 last year. I did raise the postage is the same, 31,200 postage, 1,000. Training and conferences, I did raise from 750 to 1,000.
I got another question, Penny, I'm sorry.
Yes, that's okay.
So why are we putting postage in there, what'd you say? Do you have postage bought, paid ahead
I have some postage on the meter now, but that's what that's for, is for postage
to,
meter.
when you need it?
Yes.
Okay.
Because
'Cause
right
I know
now,
she
we're
had-
running out, we're going through, Paula had some envelopes that had already had prepaid postage
Okay.
on them. So we're kind of getting towards the end of those.
Okay,
But we're
Thank you.
gonna have to start using all of
thanks.
You're welcome. The association member dues, 38,300 was 280 last year, which the dues were 296, so I did raise it to 300 for 26. 39,200. And I talked to Martha about these because like she was talking about our software support. That's why that one went up to 30,000 MVP. It's been raising at least 2,000 or 3,000 the last few years, every year. And then last year in 39,300, I had zero in it because like she said, it was moved to another spot to be paid for the Lao software. But I've got that 26,000 in there.
I thought Loud was replacing the MPD.
No, Loud would
Not
not,
yet, we didn't
replace
get
theirs.
we only got financials.
We only got
didn't
the
get tax.
financials out of Loud software in 2023.
Okay.
So does this mean that as we go through the budget, this 26,000 is also accounted for in the commissioner's
It's
line?
cost of
This year, it was budgeted $25,000, and I had to scratch around and find an extra $1,500 to move some lines because it exceeded that. So I put $27,000 even in for 2026. Computers, I raised from 500 to 1,000 because our computers that are on our desk for the girls work with are 2014. We know one of these days we're gonna have to start replacing at least one or something. And like today with the 500, you can see I haven't spent, but I just had to order 4 toners. And I don't have the money, maybe they'd take all my stuff in my office supply. But, so I did bump it up to 1,000 from 500.
Just for, do me a favor, on 39,200, explain to me the MPV tax and fund support.
Well, that's their support that we have for any kind of issues or errors like Scott Nykerk even does a lot with them because when they send updates, that support. And then we have to call them and have them work with us through things. Sometimes they have to go back in their servers, pull issues out, and something throws a glitch into the system, stuff like that. So that's just like any other software, you have a support that you pay for to have that
I
problem.
just noticed that
So-
jumped.
Penny's office and my office uses MVP. I know it says MPV, but it's actually MVP. And so I didn't do it, that has been there since I started here. So Cheryl and Carrie use it, Michelle uses it. I never can get access to it, but Michelle does a lot of corrections in it to people's tax statements, they get reassessed and it's higher, lower. So we do a lot, we have excellent support with our borough.
Yeah, we do too.
I don't know if you have the same person we have.
I mean, they have very few, I mean, honestly, Lab's taken over pretty much.
They are actually moving out of the state of Indiana. So we eventually have to replace MVP with either Exsoft, Lao, anybody else that does it? Those are the two major ones.
That's what I remember hearing, that MVP was
Yeah.
on its way
For
out.
now, they're still here, we still have excellent support, so we're gonna maintain them,
Okay.
because it's about a $350,000 change.
Yes, that's fine.
I was just curious on that.
That's fine. That's what I remember.
Now, you said a while ago that you only got the financial side or something, but,
We only got the financial side of Lab.
wow, what's the other side?
Well, the other side they do is like MVP, the taxing software and all. And
It
they're
would
doing
also good together if you had it all, because therefore, like right now, when my employee does cash book, the report, she has to pull her report out of MVP, and then get all the numbers, and if there's been adjustments, you have to go look for that, to change the numbers for how much you took in that day for each taxing unit, put it in. Where according to Lao, that if you have the financial Lao and the tax Lao, that all kind of pulls in, you know,
Make
automatically.
it, make it a lot more streamlined.
Yeah, just streamline.
Any more questions? Really? Randy?
No, thank you.
is our deputies. That's 163,801. That's down $35,760 due to Diana's retirement. We don't have overtime. 11400 bookkeeper, 39,312. That's down $8,518 because of Diane's retirement. The new bookkeeper came in not as many years. 11800 traffic clerk, 45,427. That'll be $218 less because you're not doing the anniversary increments. 12002 clerk dues, $600 stays the same. Stipend of 12011 is $3,500. I don't have any stipend part-time. 21000 is office supplies. If you'll look there, underneath that is 21001 and 21002. That's office supplies, child support supplies, and traffic supplies. That is very confusing for my 4D reporting. If we could join all those in together, under 2100, I would be able to do that for $5,600. In other words, keeping it the exact same as it was instead of upping it. It's just that as it is right now, I can't move things around. If I do it from traffic, I have to do it. If we can join those all together, I don't have to raise those at all.
So you would like for the 3,500, the 2,000, and the 600 to all be combined under 21000 office supplies?
That is correct.
And you want that total amount to be $5,600?
That is correct.
Okay.
So was that easy?
We can make that change, yes.
Those are all like numbers, why can't she
Yeah,
transfer?
they're all within
between
the
them?
same series, so,
Why couldn't she transfer between those line items anyway?
When I turn in for 4D and child support, they don't like it when I do that. I always get called
Who's
every
that?
month.
Who's that?
the 4D,
Dulcet and 4D.
yeah, the 4D and the child support, they're very strict and they're very particular about what you do with their funds and how you transfer. If she makes a transfer from one line to the other line, then when I send the reports, because I have to send an overall accounting, and when I send those reports, I have to explain why she did that transfer.
And then they call me and I have to do the
I
same
don't think
thing.
we ought to put it all under office.
And I can make that change.
It's as bad as dealing with the FAA.
It
Going
is.
on, 312, postage, 4,280. That did go up just a little bit because postage went up, and here it's going up again. 313, travel is 175. That is up from last year, down from the year before. We're trying to figure out exactly where all of it needs to come from. You're going to see travel in the clerk and the voter registration. All of it will go down about $300. I had to move it around just a little bit. In other words, the clerk's budget we're having a savings of $40,205. Any questions?
Martha, back on that one, do you need a motion on that to remind it, or you do not need a motion to combine them?
No, they all fall under the same line series,
Clerical.
under supplies.
Okay, any questions on this one? Okay. Hearing nothing, thank you, Amy.
We'll go on to
Yeah, she's got to
election,
go right to the next one.
which is 0104. I am going to ask that we do comparisons for this budget to the 2024 budget, because we did not have an election last year. It would not be fair to compare the two. So we'll start out.
We want to figure that out.
Yeah,
No.
but we were smart enough to figure that out.
We're going to save you some money. 11102, election board members, $8,269. That stays the same. 11406, absentee voter boards, that's $40,768. That's a $6,000 some difference, savings. I've got a combined total in just a minute. 11601 is precinct workers, $15,862. That is up a little bit from before. Because in 2026, we also had central count workers, and that was $1,872. Talked to some other clerks, and a little bit easier way to do all of that is absentee voter board and central count's actually the same thing. They're both people who count absentee ballots. So we're able to join all those pays together, actually saving the county $4,335. Going on, 12000 is the clerk per diem, no change. 21, office supplies, as 10,000, that's a $14,333 savings. 311, microvote, 22,400, that went up a little bit, because microvote said it would. 31101, election day on-site support, 5,200, again, that went up, because microvote said it would. No ink is our poll pads when the voters come in, keeps track of all the voters, making sure we don't have double voting. 31102, that's 5,400, stays the same. 312, postage, 15,000, that goes down. In 2024, it's 20,000, didn't quite use all of it. 31304, mileage is 550, that went up just a little bit because I realize that a lot of people are not tracking their mileage and it's not fair for them. 322, legal notices, $450, no change. 323, signs, that's $500, that's a $100 savings. 341, internet phone, $100, you'll see that hasn't been used. I didn't realize what was supposed to come out of that, I figured that out now. $100. 35202, repair equipment, $1,000, no change. 37000, training and conference, we're taking that away. You'll see that savings with that $300. I think we can do without that. Put that in voter registration. 37101, we have meals for election day, $3,000. That's up $170 because food prices went up. 39601, contracted services, $9,860. That includes the delivery of all the machines and the pickup. That's Scott's programming of all of our machines, and that's internet that he had to get for the fairgrounds. If you will notice, it's quite a bit of savings, but I will hand this out so you can take it home for good read. No ink are poll pads that we have. We had a Zoom call the other day with all the clerks. They let me know that our Generation 5 no ink poll pads will not take the security update. So we still have a Generation 5. They've done a 7, they've done an 8, they've done a 9, they've done a 10. We didn't take any of those because I feel like if what's working works, and there's no need to update it, and then we were able to get all the security updates. But we cannot do that anymore. If you'll notice, we saved, in my budget, let's see where I took that out. We saved $24,260 to get these iPads. Will be $20,390. So even if we got those, we'd still have a budget savings of the election. I have worked with them. We're working on different ways that might be able to save us a little money. I can't guarantee, and I do need security when these elections start in May. So I'm going to ask you guys to look over that. I do have the contracts that you guys can look at. Turn those into Martha. Take a look and see what you guys think. Just a heads up. At the bottom of that, there's a little heads up for next year. The voting machines are kind of the same way. We still have the 2005 voting machines, and they're telling us that they do not service those anymore. They have given me one more year on those. So those will be in the next budget for you. But I do have an estimated price of what those will be, just so you can have a heads up for next year.
You have it now.
Diego has an
Yes,
interesting idea.
about $288,000. He does, and that's why I don't wanna ask for those yet, because we're working. We're gonna work on those.
I like what the way he's thinking.
Amy, can I get a copy of that paper?
Oh, yes.
That's it. Good questions.
I guess I should not have been that informal. I should have said Secretary of State for House.
You said 31,102 is for, what was that? Page 12?
No?
31,102. That's no week, so we have a contract, a yearly contract with them.
And what was the one you said that was to set up the fairgrounds, which was the?
That was down at the bottom, 39601, contracted services. So for Scott to have Wi-Fi out of the fairgrounds, he has to take all kinds of equipment. He says for security also. So we went in, this year was $300, it's a 3-year plan. Have it here if you want to look at it.
Well, I was thinking though that I know there's no Wi-Fi service there.
Yeah.
I think that's being installed this year.
Oh.
So I think that might be something I wouldn't sign a long-term agreement on because I believe you're gonna have internet service, so I don't know how far I would go on that.
Well, that was already signed last year for 3 years. So I'm stuck in that again.
Okay. And then my other question is like, you show on overtime, you show 0, so you don't figure on, kind of like your clerk's office. So do you use comp time?
So what was told to us is we were not allowed to use overtime pay. And I explained that there are times when people walk in at 3:30 and it takes 45 minutes. Or if they walk in at 10 till, we still service them. So what we encourage them to do is if they're there 20 minutes late, that pay period, we use that. The only comp time they get will be during voter registration when they're working the elections. And we encourage them not to use over, or not to accumulate over 40, which is what you guys have suggested. And then the only PTO time is what you guys give yearly. If you want to see any of ours, it is all recorded on the time sheets that you guys would ask us to do.
I'm just kind of curious if we get to the point where we try to account for all this, where will it be?
It is all, they have it in the auditor's office on the.
Yeah, I'm talking about your office, I'm talking about as a county's liability in a whole. I don't think we have a good grip of where we're at, but maybe, hopefully we do.
Well, if you ask each elected official and they give you, if they can give you answers like we've gotten so far, I think we would have a good handle on it.
Right.
His point is, at this time, we don't know what our unfunded liability
I understand
is.
that, I
You know,
understand.
because nobody's consolidating.
Right.
And was there any stipulations made that if you did not request overtime, would that mean they had an open gate for as much comp time as they felt needed? I mean, how did you regulate your comp time? You regulate overtime. So before you decided to do it with comp time, you said, so-and-so's office has $10,000 of overtime. When they utilize that $10,000, then they would come back and ask for additional, they would run out of overtime. The way it works with comp time, number one, was it requested? And number two, if it was, you go back and have ways to show where you either approve more or decline more or whatever. That's my question. You follow what I'm
Sort of.
Well, that would go back to what I asked you there a while ago, if there was a way to compile that and get that in the.
Only if the office holders want to turn that in, if you request it, and if they want to turn that in.
Sounds like it needs to be requested.
So, in my office, if they need comp time, I have a form that I sign off on. If I'm not mistaken, according to our handbook, you can only accrue up to 40 hours of comp time. I know for for myself personally, I had accrued over that. It's been a couple of years back. When I was the bookkeeper, it was audited by State Board of Accounts, and I lost quite a bit of comp time, simply because it was not in our handbook, it was not allowed. That was my fault for not using it, so. And I'm sure there's other offices that have the same thing where your employees have to sign off. You have to request it on the sheet that I'm having to work over because of X, Y, Z, and you sign off on it. So,
We only gather comp during election time. There are times that makes it more than 40 hours.
I'm just looking at it as a whole, as, you know, counting all departments, where are we? I'm yours or in particular, it just doesn't seem like we would know at any given point what our liabilities are in common. And if an office did not request an overtime line, did we just give them the open opportunity to use comp time, or how was that addressed?
Well, sorry,
Go ahead.
I think as Ron said, it's up to each office holder to account for that, but on the other hand, I would like to see offices be similar, because it's not really fair that this office is giving this, and this office over here is giving something else. So, to me, it's important to come up with something, some guidelines that we support as a council or county or whatever. And then maybe so often, you know, we can have a look at that, you know, the forms, or we can just kind of check in from time to time. You know, accountability is always good. I don't care what job you do, especially when you're working with taxpayers' money. They want to know. They want to know where's our money going. So,
Sounds like to me this is being a request. So what we'll do, Martin, get rolling, you'll smack me. Let's send a letter out to the department heads requesting information that Scott would like to have, and Julie, actually myself too.
well, I think we need to come up with some sort of a form that gives them some guidelines that they can look at.
Yeah, but I think if she gets that and finds out what's on the books right now, that's a start. See what's being used, not used, what the liability is, the whole 9 yards. So I will help you tomorrow, or I'll sign it.
I will not be here tomorrow.
Friday. You're up.
Take a comment.
She can't smack me. I let her know. Martha can't. I'll be in.
I'll be here.
Martha, do all offices have to turn in some sort of accountability or form or numbers to you?
They turn in their payroll, but it does not have anything that requests comp time on it. We do have attendance on demand where people, if the office holder wants to use it, they can clock in and out, and it will track comp time and everything for them. But it's up to each office holder if they choose to use that or not.
That would help. We'll do that tomorrow. And then I'll answer. You want for comp time and PTO time?
Well, it'd be nice to compare. In budget time last year, did the department even request overtime? They didn't request overtime, but yet they have,
Then where it switch over.
where did it switch over, and how did they justify having all this comp time?
What we'll do is we will do that. Martha, we'll send that out. I don't think, I think he's picking up her, that would be that difficult to get
It should not be.
to where we can have that by budget review.
By
Well, we used Corey for twice, so now you're up. I mean, you got it.
Before I go, if I can respectfully say, be careful how you word that. You punched these employees in the gut 3 times in this may seem like another punch in the gut. So please be careful in how you request that information. Although everyone should give it no matter what. Just be careful how you word it.
I don't think it's a punch in the gut, it's a financial liability.
I completely understand. I'm just saying it feels like a gut punch 3 times already this year. Just be careful how you word it.
Well, I think Scott's going down the right path, because if you do that, and then, if before you leave, that's probably where you're going. And we're liable for paying that out, you need to know where that's at, because the second part of that problem is, if that's a problem, we need to fix it. Whether it be salary ordinance or how we fix it, we need to fix it.
Understand. Just be careful how
We
you word
can't
it.
fix something we don't know. And there may be no fix to it, I don't know. But it's something definitely council needs to address.
All right, we'll move on. 0010.
Hold that thought. On any of this page, page 12, is there any more questions? Phil? You guys are good? Okay. Now, please move on.
0010, let's go to registration. 11308, overtime, there is none. 115 deputy, 37,346. As you know, with Diane's retirement, we had the agreement to pull her up so that I could use her info to her in the clerk's office. That has been a huge help. So that is up $2,355. 11902 typist, you guys took that away in 2025, but we added that to perpetuation, if you'll remember. 2100, 21000, office supplies, 2000, that stays the same. 221, gasoline is on there for some reason, I'm not really sure why. 12011, stipend, $500. 312, postage, 2000, that went down just a little bit. 31301, travel and training, 275, that went up because that's what I pulled over from the other offices. Again, all my travel and training will have gone down by $300. 31305, printing and advertising, $200. Sorry, I'm off the line. That's zero. 383, membership dues, $200, that raised because dues raised. So if you will see, from 2024, we have a $5,156 savings.
I can explain Amy's $39 for gasoline,
Okay?
and it actually belongs to the assessor's office, because prior to Lau in Harris, the assessor was 1,010. So someone just mistakenly keyed this, and this will be removed and put into April's, into April's budget. $39 for gasoline. It was inadvertently charged to Amy. So it just reared its head on this.
Give you 39.
We'll find it.
On that, anybody got questions on this page? You guys do? Okay.
All right,
Next page.
clerk's perpetuation fund. Extra help,
No.
16,000.
They found one, I'm going to
Okay,
explain,
go ahead.
they found one thing that I can't do,
All right.
and that's the word.
What?
There's a lot of people that way, he struggles to pronounce.
Perpetuation?
You do not want me pronouncing that, because it's not going to be good for what you're going to do. So, anyway,
11901, that's extra help, 16,500. That is up a little bit from last year. If you'll look, in 2024, that was 18,720. You guys lowered it to 16,000, which was great. But that same year, you also took away my pay for my typist because we moved her to perpetuation, but you did not move her funds. Now, I could make it with 16,500, hoping that there are some holidays on Mondays and Wednesdays, or that they're sick.
What a terrible thing to hope for.
I just saying, that's the only way I can make it. All right. 12102, Social Security, you guys deal with that? No, me, someone deals with that. 21000, office supplies, 2500 stays the same. 43100, office equipment, 2600 stays the same. That's $1,500 in savings from last year.
Savings, savings,
No.
and more savings.
Of course.
Okay, any other questions for Kathy?
Good job.
This could be right. You guys have any questions on this one?
No.
You got anything for us, Scott? Thank you.
How come we get a, Brother, how come we get a clerk's perpetuation sheet and not a recorder's? Which is two?
What is it?
Not you.
It's not you.
The name of the fund is Clerk's Records Perpetuation.
So we don't have a sheet for the recorder's perpetuation.
The Recorder's Perpetuation is not an appropriated fund.
I think what you're thinking is she has to do that affidavit at the end of the year in order to justify paying her employees out of that
Really?
fund. Yes. So she has to do an affidavit and then you guys have to approve it. And that's how she pays out of that. But, and I'll do that in December.
Okay, we're on to the next one. Emergency management, Valerie.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Hello, Valerie.
I'm good, thank you. And before you ask, Scott, if we have any kind of extra hours, we work it out either in that payroll cycle or the next one, because it is right at the end of the payroll cycle. We'll go over it, but we just flex our hours to cover it. You're welcome.
I just remember when this was passed last year, I was, it didn't seem like there was a lot of stipulations or addressed how it was going to be monitored, was my concern.
And the sheriff's department, I know when I help with dispatch, as Greg can tell you, that's a whole other ballgame. Several years ago, when we were short dispatchers, we had so much comp time, they couldn't even take it. And they just lost the time. Because there's no way, there's only so many hours, and you gotta have shifts covered. So, but I'll let Greg speak to that, how it is currently. So, when it's his turn. So, but, so you have 4921, since I have 3, is that the one you have first?
Yes.
Yes.
Emergency management. Okay, so salaries are the same. Okay, and then,
Cases in from other counties, they're not your typical usual cases. Now, Orange County comes up to us with everything. But what we're getting is we're getting major cases from other jurisdictions. So, for example, we have a police action shooting in Owen County, we'll get them. And what that is that gives our staff the opportunity to receive the information and experience that, so that when we have it, we're not making mistakes. We're already experiencing what's going on, and we're seeing what's happening as a result of these other counties coming in. Plain Crash is the same way.
Any more questions for Roland? That's good. You did a great job. Thank you.
All right, thank you, folks.
That's right.
Says, right?
We do have a little one time. We've got it like when we go out in the field measuring, because if you're in the middle of measuring and it gets to be 4 o'clock, you're not gonna stop and come in and then go out the next day and finish that house or that farm that you're on. You're gonna finish it while you're there. And then in our busy times, we've got overtime to try to meet the deadlines. So we do have some, we utilize that instead of the next PTO day, they use that comp time first. we're not talking, you know, weeks of comp time, we're talking days and hours. You know, we don't have a lot, we use the county's, software for keeping track of time. I also have, my girls also do it, we have paper copies that they sign and turn in to me every 2 weeks, because a couple of years ago, I had the State Board of Accounts come to me to ask me if my girls kept their own time, and they signed a time sheet. They wanted to see a signature from my girls. And I had that form. I could just turn around and hand it to them and say, yeah, I've got that. I said, my girls do that every 2 weeks. So I could, I could supply that form. So I still have that. They keep their comp time on those sheets also. So I could supply that for you if that's what you want. So I
Doesn't
can have
sound
that for
like,
you.
doesn't sound like anybody's got a bunch of comp time in arrears,
No,
although we may have someone here that does have.
like I say, we're not talking weeks, we're talking hours or maybe a few days. But it's just, it's unavoidable.
Yes.
All right, I have the first one I have is on my county general budget I have to read, so. I have the 11,100, it is 50, it's a county, the elected official, it's 57,059, same as last year. The assessor level 2, which is 11,101, is 2,500, and it's the same. I have a first deputy, which is 11,300 at 46,738, which was an increment increase. The deputy level 2 is 3,000, which is the same, and that's for 2 deputies. Overtime was 0. Then for the rest of my...
Sorry, April, do you have to certify every year?
Pardon?
Do you have to certify every year?
Yes, well, we have 2 years to get 30 hours.
Okay.
If it's 2 years, we have to get at least 10 hours in 1 year time. They give us 2 years to get 30 hours in order to keep our levels 30s.
Okay, thank you.
The rest of the second deputies, I put in at 165,000. It's a little less with the hope that you will let me hire a deputy, and I took it to the bottom of the pay scale. 3,000 is the stipend. Then 2,100 is office supplies at 1,000, which is the same. 22,1 is gas at 500, which is the same. 31,2 is postage, which is 1,500, and it's the same. 31,3 is travel, which is 500, and it's the same. 39,601 is contracted services, which is 500. That's the service contracts on our 2 copy machines, and it's the same. And that's it. Okay.
Okay, I got a question on the 11101, and this for information, I think I know the answer, but that one, you've got 2,500 budgeted. Is that paid out one time a year, or how's that?
It's paid out one time a year.
Okay, so that's paid out.
And that's mine. That's what I get per Indiana code.
That's what I thought, that it was showing 0, so that,
Yeah.
I thought it had to be one time.
Yeah, and it's the same thing with the deputies, level 3. They can take the part of it at the beginning of the year, and then the other one the rest of it has to be paid in December. So they, take it all in December, but that's why I choose to take mine in December. Okay, then the reassessment budget, which has its own levy.
Hold that up just a second. You guys got any questions on?
Oh, sorry.
You got it? Okay. Now, page 21, please.
11,402, I must have Happy Fingers, that should be 38,859. 11,901, extra help is 3,120. 12,011, the stipend is 500. 12,102 Social Security, 4,300. 12,200 retirement, 5,600. That was down a little bit. 12,300 group insurance is 1,100. 13,010 the PETA Bowl, which is the appeal board, 12,480. Never costs that much, but you just don't know how many appeals you're going to have. So, and it's 4 members have to pay out of that. 2,100 office supply, 5,000. And it's the same. 30,403, which is attorney fees, 10,000. I haven't spent any out of that yet, but I have used her this year. She's still working on 4 appeals at the state level, so I will have expenses out of that. 31,305 printing and advertising, 200. That's the same. 35,302 vehicle repair and maintenance is 3,000. It's the same. 36,017. I upped that to 250,000 because we will be signing a new contract for next year. 37,100 dues and organizations, 4,000. Because we also use that for conferences, dues and conferences. 39,300 software support, 39,000, that's for my XOF support, which is our real estate software, our personal property software, and our sales disclosure software. 39,607 is software and aerials, 27,868, that's for the pictometry aerials. 43,101 new equipment, 12,000, that's if we need new computers, new anything as far as equipment. And that's it.
One question for me on that one. Back up on 3403, the attorney fees. That's been the same amount since '24, but I'm not showing it being used in '24 or used in '25.
It just depends on whether we have state appeals that I have to use. I am using her right now, so we will. I've had to have, we use that for appraisals and attorney fees, and I've got an appraisal in the works, and she's working on 4 state appeals for me right now. So I'd say we were lucky the last year that we didn't have any state appeals I had to use her for. This year I wasn't so lucky.
April, I have a question. Where it says trending and reassessment, what exactly is that?
That is, we have to do cyclical reassessment, which means we have to reassess 1/4 of the parcels in the county every year. And then every parcel in the county gets trended every year. So 1/4 of the parcels have to be physically visited every year.
Do you do
for the
that?
reassessment.
Do you do that or do you contract that?
We contract that.
Okay. And how's that determined? I feel like I win the lottery every year, so how's that determined?
It's based on a percentage of whether it's a commercial, like residential, or a farm property. We have to do a certain percentage, 1/4 of each of those.
Just random or
In an area, it's like, we try to get on, it's 1/4 of the parcels within a certain area. We have to do 1/4 of the parcels of each township, of each taxing unit every year. So it's not like you can do one more township a year. You have to do 1/4 of the parcels in that taxing unit that year.
But you're doing it every year.
But we do it but it's cyclical, so we do 1/4 of the county.
So every 4 years I can expect them to come back?
Yes, you're gonna see us every 4 years, unless you build something new, then you'll see us
Right.
more often. Yeah, because we have people say, I know we see you every year, but it still depends on what you do.
Is there any questions on reassessment? Good. That's good on reassessment. Phil? Okay.
help pay for the support of my sales disclosure software. And that's what